Welcome to Glacier Farm Media's daily coverage of the 2013 Agricultural Biotech International Conference from Calgary, Alberta. From September 15th to 18th, we'll be bringing you daily news from the conference floor at 6 a.m., noon, and 9 p.m. nightly, courtesy of Myers Norris Penny.
Good afternoon. It's time for the Glacier Farm Media midday update from ABIC 2013. I'm your host, Bruce Sargent of Farm Boy Production, and here is what's happening at the conference today.
My name is Charlie Arnott. I'm the CEO of the Center for Food Integrity. We're a not-for-profit organization with members from the US, Canada, and an affiliate now in Australia, whose mission is to build trust in food. And what I'll be talking about is the intersection of ethics, values, and science. And how do we integrate those in a way that builds trust in biotechnology?
So trust is a really big thing right now, and part of your talk is including social media. So what are some of the ways that you think we can use social media down the road to improve the trust?
Well, lots of ways to use social media. I think one of the things I'd like to do is take a little bit of a step back, if I could, and talk a little bit about kind of the challenge that we have. One of the issues we have is that agriculture particularly has always been very science-driven and science-based. Science tells us if we can, but society tells us whether or not we should. And we're at that crossroad now where science says, yes, we can do this, but society is saying, we're not sure you should when it comes to biotechnology. And so we really have to answer those values-based questions about whether or not this is in the best interest of society, and if these practices and the technologies will benefit people, animals, and the planet. We can communicate that in lots of different ways, but we have to be able to have that foundation and make sure we're answering the should question first, then support it with the can. Clearly greater engagement through social media, whether it is through your own network or engaging in existing networks. We have 2 full-time online community managers who work to identify those communities that are having conversations around food-related issues, whether it's biotechnology or other issues, and then engaging in a way that is suitable for those communities. One of the approaches we've taken historically in agriculture is we wait till an issue happens, and then we parachute in, we tell people why they're wrong, and here's the science to prove it. Not a great way to build relationships or build trust. So part of what we try to encourage people to do is to be engaged in these communities online, just as you'd be engaged in your physical community. Nobody runs for mayor the first day you move into town. So you need to build these relationships so when you're having that digital cup of coffee, you can have the conversation about biotechnology or other practices in a way that is consistent with your values, and you're a respected member of that community, so you can introduce information in a way that will lead to trust.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the model that we have these sites that exist with all this information, but we can't direct it to them after the fact. We need them to exist and to know that they exist, so that when they do have a problem, they can then go to their trusted source, like these sites that have been built.
Right. We need to have our own sites, but we also need to go to the sites where the conversations are taking place. I think that historically, again, we've kind of taken the if we build it, they will come approach, and that's not necessarily going to work. So we have to be able and willing to meet people where they are, where they have concerns in those online spaces where these discussions are taking place. People will be skeptical about our motives and why we're there. We have to definitely increase the level of transparency. We have to welcome and invite skepticism and be strong enough to recognize that it's going to take a while for us to overcome that, and not withdraw from the conversation because it's uncomfortable, but be willing to stay engaged for the long haul, realizing that it's that endurance that will ultimately lead to greater acceptance.
So what do you think people will take away from your talk tomorrow? What do you hope they'll take home and put into action?
I hope they'll be able to take home some concrete ways that they can improve their trust-building skills by articulating values. We know from our research that articulating values is 3 to 5 times more important than demonstrating your technical competency in building trust. So again, just because we can doesn't mean we should. So we have to be able to address those value-based questions and help people understand that yes, our systems have changed, the technology is different, but our commitment to do what's right is no different than it's ever been. It's as strong as it's ever been. And so being able to talk about our values and talk about why we do what we do, the social, societal, environmental benefits for what we do, and not just the scientific verification of the systems we use. Because we can't substitute scientific verification for ethical justification. And sometimes we've tried to do that. We've got to make sure we've got those lines clear, and that people have the skills and capability then to articulate their values and why they feel strongly and passionately about this technology.
Can you give me an example of maybe a value that you feel really strongly about, just so that we understand what you mean by value?
Sure. So technically, historically, the way the conversations might have played out, someone would say, it bothers me about GM food, and I'm concerned about that. And so historically, the response may have been, well, we've been consuming it since 1996. There's no documented cases of allergies or illness, blah, blah, blah. So we'd immediately go into the data, as opposed to saying, I appreciate that, and I certainly respect your concern. Help me better understand, what it is about it that causes you concern. And generally, it'll be either some kind of concern about food safety or impact on the environment. Well, now you've established a place where we share a value. I respect your concern about food safety. Food safety is critical to me as well, and I want to make sure that the food that I feed my family is really safe. That's why we engage in the practices we engage in. So rather than starting with just dumping the data, engage them so you can understand what's the root of that concern, what's the value where you can find a place to make a connection with them as a person, and that gives you the opportunity and the foundation then for building trust.
As the 2013 event comes to an end, delegates are already looking forward to the 2014 event. Here is Dr. Wilf Keller, Chair of the ABIC Foundation, telling us more about the 2014 event.
Hello, my name is Wilf Keller. I'm the Chair of the Organizing Committee for ABIC 2014. We are targeting well over 500 people for this meeting. We are going to be working under the theme of leadership in a changing world, and there are going to be some very significant issues that need to be discussed. Issues around what are the various countries doing to address the challenges around food production. What are the current and most important scientific developments to be able to alleviate some of these challenges that we have. And finally, what are the issues that impact on society with new technology and what role it can play. So these are all interacting themes, and we look forward to bringing in the world's best leaders from key organizations. We look forward to inviting all of you to participate in this important event.
Enjoy the last day of the conference. Here's your schedule for the afternoon.